Ladies and gentlemen, we are live after a huge 3 points that we needed to get going into this PSG match. And let me tell you what, beating Fulham, like no matter what, beating any team in the Premier League is no easy task. And we put a good match in against Fulham. It wasn't everybody on the team that put in a good match, but I would say everybody minus one person put in a really good show today. We kept a clean sheet against a team that is hard to keep a clean sheet against, and I am very proud of this team. Today, this afternoon, Matthew McFadden decided to wake up, so he's joining us for the review. Matthew McFadden, how you doing?
I knew you were going to bring that up. I just knew it. I just like sleeping, okay? Don't blame me for that.
Listen, I'm not going to put too much fault on you. By the way, Paul, you calm down over there, okay? Matthew is in the chat. He's hovering over you right now. I can see it. But Paul, in fairness, Matthew and I were talking about something a little bit emotional beforehand, which doesn't need to be discussed on a football podcast. So let's go ahead. Let's get into this. Matthew, initial thoughts on the match. Anything that really, really stood out to you?
You know what? I think some of us were thinking it might just be a little bit of a boring match considering the Leicester game and the Burnley game, the 2-2. But it was like Ollie's first game again. We were just all over them, and don't get me wrong, Fulham were just simply awful. Like they had two good chances in the first half, we just couldn't put them away. And Ryan Babel, the red-haired weirdo, missed from about 3 centimeters out. I
will say this: credit to all the Manchester United traveling fans that booed him every single time he touched the ball.
It was like we were playing Old Trafford.
Yes.
Not just that occasion as well. Like the only songs that you could hear were just Always at a Wheel and every other Man United song.
But yeah, like I'll say it now. If we get to 25 likes, if for some reason 25 people are watching this live and we get to 25 likes, we will sing the song. We will sing the song. I promise you. That will be our celebration for today.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Listen, Matthew, you calm down over there. Calm down.
I'll take my stick for Old Trafford. I'm happy, you know.
But I'm sorry.
I'm going to belt it at the chins.
I don't blame you.
I've got a ticket for the Stretford end too. So I will be saying or else I'll be kicked out.
Well, there you go, boo-boo.
Anyways, the game itself, it was as close to perfect as it gets, really. We were all over them, we were creating chances. And I know we're going to get into the match ratings later, but Herrera was just unbelievable.
Yes, he was.
He covered every single blade of grass. He was like Kanté on steroids.
Which is saying a lot.
Just knocked it at half line before a game. And that's what Herrera was today.
So for me, one thing that really stood out to me, Matthew, was Delot today. So I really noticed Delot getting high up the pitch on that right-hand side. I'm not saying he necessarily had the best of games, but when you compare what Ashley Young has been doing over these last few matches, I'm telling you now, it was amazing to have Diogo Dalot getting up that right-hand side and being able to actually put in a performance on that right back side, because we haven't had that in about 5 matches. So Dalot, for me, really deserves a little bit of an extra shout out. And let's hope that this point is the kickoff for him to really start taking over that right back spot, because that was a good performance for a right back. I'm not saying it was great by any means, but it was good.
I think he's probably made a claim for him playing in the PSG game. I doubt he will, though, but he should.
Yeah.
Based on that performance alone. Because, it wasn't a 10 out of 10. However, his positioning was fantastic, both attacking and defensively. He put in an absolutely amazing cross that Lukaku nearly got to. And his all-round game was just so much more than what we've seen from Ashley Young in his last 10 games combined.
Yeah. No, it was amazing to see a right back actually getting up the pitch and doing something. As George Kyle would say, not only is he a wage thief, but he's an oxygen thief, that Ashley Young guy. So
Exactly.
I'm really hoping that this really is a kickoff point for that right back spot. Because if Ashley Young is a backup, okay, whatever. Like, let him be the backup. But Delo and Shaw should 100% be our starting fullbacks going into next year. Barring the fact that we maybe buy somebody like Wan-Bissaka, or, maybe we're not happy with the performances Luke Shaw has put in by the end of the year. Maybe we go buy, a left back. I don't really know who we'd look to bring in, but I mean, there obviously Sandro was somebody that was rumored in the summer, but I don't know if I really want Sandro at this point. So, but I think for me, next year, Shaw and Delo really have to be our starting fullbacks going into the year. Connor Park, yes, PSG is going to be a very hard match. Peter, let's hope City win the league. Let's just hope that. And then Paul Gardner said, I didn't think Delo did anything particularly noteworthy. Couple of overhit crosses, but he hasn't played much and didn't actually do anything wrong. He needs more minutes, which is exactly where I was kind of going with that. But I mean, so besides Delo, I mean, like Matthew said, Ander Herrera was just absolutely amazing. George, we were just talking about you. Your ears must have been ringing. So we were just talking about Delo, who hopefully is going to start taking over the place for that. Young was crap. Oh, man. This is why I love you, George. This is why I love you. But, I mean, Moana, listen, this is just my opinion, but Delo needs to be starting. He just does. And it's something that, for me, the more minutes that Delo gets, the better he's going to be. Like, he needs the minutes, and right now with the opponents coming up that we have, I mean, if you want to play Young against PSG, okay. I mean, that's fine. I get having the experienced guy out there, but at the same time, Delo needs to be starting in these Premier League games to really get experience, because I think that he is the future at that right back spot. But Matthew, so moving on from that, Doug, I can't even tell you how I'm not tired. I get that I woke up at 3:30 in the morning for the preview, and then, we do what we do out here. But Andrew, we have to admit Jones played very well. Give the guy credit where it's due. I mean, listen, we kept a clean sheet today. Everybody really played well. Smalling played well for his first game back, and he started his first match back. Oh, dude!
I was so hoping that would go in.
I was too.
Celebration of getting a new contract.
Like, if he had put that in like that, I would have just tweeted out L's to everybody that made a comment about Phil Jones getting a new contract.
Phil Jones FC.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, just Phil Jones FC L. I would have laughed my butt off, because I don't even like Phil Jones, but that would have been amazing. Absolutely amazing to see Phil Jones score an absolute screamer that would have been.
Some strike as well. It took a good save from the keeper, which, to be fair, was probably the only save he's made.
Yeah.
But some strike.
Well, in the other one where Herrera hit it about as perfect as you could hit it, and it just went right to him. It's like, it actually probably would have suited him to mishit it just a little bit, but he literally caught it perfect. Because I don't think I've seen a ball hit that hard from somebody on our team in quite a while. Because if he had hit that either side of the keeper, there's no chance he saves that. None at all.
It's like pick a corner.
So, come on, Andrew, pick a corner. Jesus. But Luca, we will get into Lukaku. I promise you on that. We will get into Lukaku. But real quick, I wanted to talk to Matthew about the fact that De Gea was captain today, and I kind of saw a bit of a captain's performance from him. I love the moment that he took on Mitrovic, who had ran into him a couple of times during the game, and he said, enough of that shit. And we saw De Gea put a hand to a throat, something I never thought I would see from De Gea. I mean, what did you make of De Gea and his not only performance, but his captain's performance today?
I'm not going to lie, I didn't even know De Gea was captain. That shows just how tired I was when we woke up.
Fair.
I just looked at it. I thought, fair enough. It's not the best team, but sure, we'll win. But yeah, De Gea, if we're going into like match ratings pretty soon, probably one of the best players there was.
Yep.
And that's considering the whole team, bar one, played good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of good saves as well. I think it was one in the second half where I've forgotten who headed it or who crossed it or something like that. But it was one save that shot I thought was definitely going in, and he managed to save it just in the last second. But yeah, like overall, he was brilliant, and the fact that he's actually got that in him, that kind of Herrera-ness, as I'd probably call it, to actually get in someone's face and just put him in their place almost. I think that's kind of what we want to see, and it's not going to help himself, it's just going to help the whole team as well. Give some confidence into the back four while still having a bit of a psychological effect on other teammates, or on the other team for that matter. So yeah, from a captain's point of view, he was really good today.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. From a captain, and listen, George, I do agree with you. I still think that Pogba should be the captain of this team. And yes, I did make the meme of Paul Pogba is the best midfielder in the world. Change my mind. Go ahead and do it. Paul Pogba is just playing on another level under Ollie. The fact that he has never scored 10 goals in a season at any level, and now he's not only scored 10, he's on 11. And think about how many assists he had. This is coming from a midfielder. And I actually think, I'm going to look it up right now, I think that he is our leading scorer at the moment. I just want to, I'm sorry for the quick little pause here, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul Pogba is our leading scorer with 11 goals this season. 11.
That's in the league alone.
And I also think that he is our leading assist guy as well. Oh, boy.
Is he to him a Martial, I think? Oh, no, not Martial.
No, Pogba is our leading assist guy with 8 assists. Paul Pogba is literally throwing this team on his back and saying, come on, guys, let's get the victory. Every single match.
This is the first season, or first league season that he's had where he scored over 10 goals.
Yeah.
It's the start of February.
Just think about this. Think about if Ollie had been in charge since October when it was rumored that Mourinho was going to be fired after the Newcastle game. Just think about that. Because Pogba... What's that?
We'd be in a title race.
Oh, we would 100%.
By any means, but we'd be somewhere in the race. We'd be probably taking Tottenham's spot in a moment.
If Pogba... And listen, Luca, 100%. If Pogba gets injured, we're screwed. I 100% agree, which is why I was surprised that after he scored his penalty, that he wasn't taken off. Once it went 3-0 up, I was like, all right, there's no chance of them winning. Let's get him off and get him ready for PSG. So that for me, I just look at Paul Pogba and I'm thinking, man, what could have been? Because he was sat on the bench for how many games, Matthew?
It was 4 games before he got sacked.
That to me blows my mind. The fact that he missed 4 games, the guy that is now literally carrying the team was sat on the bench by the last guy.
It's funny the fact that in Mourinho's last 3 games, Pogba was benched for all of them, and in Ole's first 3 games, he contributed 7 goals.
That's it. Hasn't he at this point? So he's contributed to 11, 12, 13 goals since Ollie's come in. That is...
And these first away goals under Ollie too.
Yep. I actually and Doug can testify to this. I said Paul Pogba would get his first away goal today. I called it because I knew that Paul Pogba was going to come in and he was going to want his goal against Fulham. But Doug, Martial is 100% greater than Hazard. That is confirmed. Confirmed that he is better. But Matthew, let's go ahead because our match ratings do tend to take a little bit. Let's go ahead, jump into these match ratings. So, guys, if you want to have your match rating read out on the show, get them in now with us, and we will read them out with you. So, Matthew, David De Gea, captain's performance, took on their captain, the Russian wannabe thug, even though I know he's Serbian. I get it.
I was going to correct you there.
But he's a wannabe Russian mobster. That's real talk right there. Took on that guy that he just it was awesome to see De Gea just kind of go all Roy Keane on him. What do you give David De Gea for today?
I'm giving him an 8, and I'm giving him 1 extra rating for his good performance and 1 extra rating for that captaincy.
So are you giving him an 8 for it, or are you giving him a 10, giving him the extra rating?
8.
Okay. So
actually, you know what? I'm feeling generous today. 9 out of 10. Go for it.
Go. Hey, you know what? Clean sheet.
Spiced up a little bit.
Clean sheet. I was actually going to go with an 8 anyways, Matthew. So fair dues.
That's fair.
I mean, he really didn't have anything to do. That's the thing. I think, like Matthew said, as a matter of fact, I'll give you some stats as we go through this a little bit. So they only had 3 shots on target today. And I know for a fact that 2 of those were just simple little piddle shots that he just kind of mine. So I think an 8 out of 10 is very fair. Mr. Exclusive, good to see you, my friend. But I think that an 8 out of 10 is a very fair rating. Matthew went with the 9. I get feeling generous because guess what? You know, as a matter of fact, no, I'm giving him a 9 too. Just for the fact that he took on Alexander Mitrovic and said, bitch, nah, this is my pitch. This is my pitch. So,
let's be honest, he's probably deserved another 7, but screw it. Let's just give him a bigger rating.
Yeah.
Because we're nice guys, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care. It's not my job to be a professional. I'm just here to have fun. So, De Gea, 9. If you're not giving him a 9, you're kind of a dick. Kind of. But
here's we see your plastic.
So we're just going full FT here. Got it, Matthew. Got it.
Full FT. We're like with Bex and Mike LUHG. We overpraise people.
So Connor Park with giving De Gea an 8. George Kyle, De Gea 7. Some good saves, but if you look closer, his distribution is not up to scratch. Watch the match back if you don't believe me. Well, George, we all know that the one part of his game that he needs to work on is his distribution. We know that, but he's still David frickin' De Gea. Give him the extra rating. Come on. Let's see here. Paul Gardner said De Gea 6. A couple of routine saves, not much to do. J Hart said, I'd give De Gea a 7. He was great as captain. I 100% agree with you, J Hart. Pancast said De Gea 7. Ollie Guller-Solskjaer, which again, thank you, Ollie, for joining us. You're welcome. You're welcome on the show anytime. We that would be the biggest interview of all time on this show, guaranteed. I mean, sub Matthew.
Yeah, that's more like it.
I mean, that's fair. So Pancage went with 7. I'm sorry, I messed up my spot there a little bit. Let's see if anybody else. Saban said De Gea 7. What did Mitrovic do to you, Andrew? So J Hart, listen, real talk. I just don't like the fact that he's kind of dirty. I noticed him like twice today try and knock De Gea out of the game. And to me, that says everything I need to know about the player. So screw that guy. I don't like him. I just don't. You try and take out that beautiful man, David De Gea, and I just, no, you stop it. Stop it. I will have none of it. So, real quick, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. All right, so Matthew, that looks like everybody. We move on. Delo. For me, I thought that he had a good game, considering the fact that we've had, as George Kyle would call him, the oxygen thief, Ashley Young playing it right back. I thought he put in a good performance. What do you think?
Yeah, it was just so refreshing to actually not see Ashley Young in a team. But as Paul said, like, he didn't do a great deal, but he didn't do much wrong. And I think in general it was a very solid game. Like, how many times do you remember the left wing? I think it was Babel, like, really absolutely skin Dolo. Not really often, to be honest.
I don't think he did.
So yes, 7 out of 10, really.
7 out of 10. I agree with that. I think a 7 out of 10 performance, which in comparison to what we have been getting from that right back spot, is a very fair rating. So I'm going to give him the 7 too. Delo, for me, he needs to be starting match in, match out at this point. Let the kid have a shot. Give him a run of 5 games, and let's see how he does in that 5 games. Average it out. Just average it out. And then from there, you could decide whether you want to give Young another shot at right back. But I think that right now we need to give Deloach his chances on that right-hand side. So Saban went with Delo 7. Jay Hart said, I give Delo a 7. He was questionable defensively in the first half, which the first half he started off a little shaky. But as the match went on, he really came into his own. He really did. In fact, I have a tweet out about that. Jay Hart said, I give Delo George Kyle said, I give Delo an 8, mainly because Young is the biggest weed in our squad. As I said, George Kyle, we know your feelings on Young. We know. I get it. Trust me. But it was nice to see a big performance come in from a guy at the right back spot. Paul Gardner, Mr. Hard to Please, gives him a 6. I at least respect it, Paul. Like you stay consistent with wanting more from your players. So for that, I give you credit. And then Luca gave Delo a 6.5. So, I mean, 6.5 isn't too far off from a 7. I mean, we've said it on this show before that 6 is kind of an average rating. And then if you really want to be mean, you could say 5 is the average rating. But for me, 6 is average. So if you go above it, you're saying you did a little bit above average. So I just think he was a little bit above average today. Oh, that's sweet, Paul. Paul said, Andrew, you always get a 10 from me. I appreciate it, Paul. Well, Paul knows he's welcome on the show. So, as a matter of fact, Paul just earned another spot here soon. So, there you go, Paul. I love it. And, guys.
Is that how you end a place in the show now?
What's that?
Just compliment. Is that how you end a place in the show now?
I mean,
compliment you in the chat.
Listen, I guess so. I guess that's how you do it. 10 out of 20. Damn you, Jay Hart. Damn you. Paul, check's in the mail. Check is in the mail. Thank you. Then Phil Mitchell said, Delo 7, very good in the second half, which he was very good in the second half. And so just so I can finish up my little bit about Diogo Delo, listen, the only way for the guy to get better is to give him chances. Give him more time. Give him chances on that right back spot. And I guarantee you, he will succeed at the right back spot. Because right now, we are not we're not having anybody on that right back spot that is doing anything. So having Delo come in and actually put in a performance at that right back spot, even if it was a little bit above average, a little bit above average performance made it look like a 10 out of 10 performance. Like it just did, considering the fact of what we've had to what we are. So let's hope that Delo can officially take over that right back spot. Let's see here. Anyone is better than Young, and that is where the right back convo is over. Very fair, George. Very fair. So we go ahead. We move on to Chris Smalling. Made his first comeback since the injury. Matthew, what did you think of him today?
To be fair, I thought it was just a solid game, really. Like, nothing too bad, nothing too good. Just, in general, has an okay game. There was maybe 1 or 2 times where the ball would go into the box and he looked a little bit shaky, but all in all, I'd really just give him a 6 out of 10.
So I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 because I think I would have given him a 6 if a goal had gone in, but because we kept the clean sheet, I give him a 7. I mean, he did really handle Mitrovic pretty well for the most part. So for me, I kind of take that into account as well. Like, I don't know. So for me, I'm going to give him a 7. I just think that he did a little bit above average today. And add in the fact that the clean sheet was kept, I think that 7 was pretty good. Let's see here. Saban said Smaldini 7. George Collins said Smalling 7, had little to do, though I noticed he was still doing his usual shirt pulling crap. Yeah.
Hey, every time there's a corner, he does that, and it's just like, why does he even do it? It's probably because he's not good enough defensively to actually put in a fair challenge.
That's fair.
The times when there's been penalties given away for us, and it's just like, why are you doing that?
I mean, I do feel like the shirt pulling is kind of common play in the modern game for corners. You see almost everybody do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe the referee just kind of lets people play. I don't know. Just opinion. Jay Hart said Smalling gets a 7, consistent as always a good backup, which for me, when I saw that Chris Smalling got a new contract, I instantly thought, you know what? For somebody that I view as a backup going into the future, I don't mind keeping Chris Smalling. I'd prefer to keep Chris Smalling over Phil Jones any day of the week. Because for me, Chris Smalling actually offers us a little bit more than Phil Jones. I get that he is not the greatest on the ball. I get that. But at the same time, I trust him defensively and in the air over Phil Jones. And that's ultimately what truly matters for a center back, is somebody that is defensively sound and can at least win some headers in the air. So I'll keep Chris Smalling. Thank you very much. Paul Gardner said Smalling 8 for his first game back. He was solid, winning almost all of his aerial battles. Also, his distribution was half decent, which it wasn't horrible. That's for sure. J. Hart said, Paul, have you just started drinking and 8 from you? Yes. I think that Paul is officially starting to drink now. It's fair. Like, I get it. You're once you go past noon, you could kind of start to say it's okay to maybe have a couple of drinks. That's true. George Kyle, when VA Smalling today, be honest. So as we go ahead, we move on to our next player, Phil Jones. Matthew, what did you make of Phil today?
I'm not going to lie, the boy did well. He actually did well, which is just so un-Phil Jones-like. But to be honest, like, all banter aside, I give him a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
He was still close to scoring an absolute ripper of a goal, but it just wasn't meant to be. You can only celebrate the new contract with an assist, but fair dues. It's probably one of the biggest non-assists ever. But yeah, overall game is just really solid. So it was definitely better than Smalling for me, so 7 out of 10.
Yeah. And listen, I think that he was better than Smalling. Not by a lot, because really, I think back on that match and be honest with yourselves. Did we really have much to do defensively today? Because I didn't really think so. So I'll give Phil Jones a 7.5 out of 10. I don't like to do half ratings, but I feel like he doesn't deserve an 8, but he also doesn't deserve a 7. So I'll give him the 7.5, and that's with including the fact that he helped keep the clean sheet. So I just look at, like I said, I look at the overall of the game, and our defense really didn't have much to do. And that's a good thing, because that means that even though they had a greater amount of percentage than us, they had 51% possession to our 49%. That says everything you need to know about where they were actually keeping possession of the ball, because it was nowhere near like causing us any problems. Like I said, they only had 3 shots on goal today with 15 total shots. So I'm not surprised by that at all. So let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys give Phil Jones for today. Saban said Pink Boots 8. Yes. You can call him Pink Boots if you would like. George Kyle is telling Jay Hart to ban himself, which Jay Hart, you don't have to. You don't have to. You're always welcome here. I think it's because Jay Hart said, George, no difference than Bailly in his tackles. Talking about Chris Smalling. So I like Bailly a lot, but I don't think that he has caused as many problems. As a matter of fact, if I really think about it, I don't think that Bailly has given away like that many penalties. I think he's only given away one. I'm like really thinking back on it. I think Bailly's only given away one penalty. Matthew.
I think so.
I would say Matthew muted himself. Go figure.
I was trying to think that. I think it wasn't it against. I'm sure it was in a big game as well.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was against Tottenham.
For some reason, I think, yeah, that's the team that I'm thinking of.
I feel like it was against Tottenham.
Was it not that third game of the season? This season?
Possibly, but I mean, we'd have to maybe we can go back and try and find that stat. But let's keep getting on with these ratings. Lucas said Jones 7. Pankaz said Phil Jones 7. Paul Gardner said Jones 7. Looks steady defensively. Didn't do anything wrong. J. Hart said Jones did okay today, but I still give him a 6 out of 10. Out of principle, I can never give him higher than that. George Kyle said Jones 7. His facial expressions are worth a few points, and almost blasted it with the wand of a left foot, Rivaldo style, and assist for Marshall. Which you know what? I forgot about the assist. So you know what? I'll give Phil Jones an 8. I think that the assist makes it worth it. Even though, let's be real, that goal was almost all down to Tony. I can't wait to talk about him. So Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer said, what's that?
That was all Michelle, that goal.
No, 100%. Yeah, like Moana said, hardly an assist. But I'll still give him an extra half point for the assist. And then Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer said 7 for the assist. And then I do not see anything else about Phil Jones. So Matthew, Luke Shaw, solid as can be. I think he's a little bit above average, but once again, the defense really didn't have much to do today.
That was just a solid game. It was kind of like Ollie's first game up against Cardiff.
Yeah.
Where he was actually getting a lot more involved in the attacking play. So really, you can't criticise him too much today. But defensively, he wasn't really tested that often. I don't know who the right winger was. I think it was Vieta. But I didn't see anything wrong, to be honest. And even when they made changes, the wingers didn't really have much of an effect in the game. That's probably down to Luke Shaw being good defensively as well. So 7 out of 10, really, again.
Yeah, I was going to give him a 7 out of 10. I think that, Shaw for me today, really didn't, like I said, defense really didn't have much to do. And I will say this, like Matthew did say, I mean, I really noticed our fullbacks getting higher up the pitch today. It was very noticeable. You saw Delo and Shaw really get, there was a point where I think I almost saw Delo, inside of the opponent's goal. It definitely went past the goal line a couple of times. So, for me, I have a hard time saying anything negative about either of our fullbacks today. So if Delo got a 7, let's give Luke Shaw a 7 because I think their performances were very, very similar in terms of what they offered the team today. Let's go ahead. Let's go to your guys' ratings for Luke Shaw. Paul Gardner said Shaw 8, brilliant defensively and getting better with his forward runs. Saban said Shaw 8. George Kyle said Shaw getting better week in and week out now, an 8 for me as he was very tidy and thoughtful in possession. J. Hart said Shaw gets a 7 from me. He looks so different with Martial. He was able to run forward, which that is 100% true because you kind of saw that Luke Shaw didn't run forward as far when Sanchez was on the left-hand side. You really did notice that. Pankaj said Shaw 8. Paul, Doug is a Liverpool fan. He is. Doug is lost as a lost soul. Listen, not everybody can be perfect. Not everybody can be perfect. And there is the fault in Doug. He is a Liverpool fan. But, I mean, he is Statman Doug, and we still give him credit for that.
Speaking of stats, I just sent you a screenshot of a bunch of stats from this game. It's like average possessions and stuff, and you'll see that Delo's so far up the pitch.
Whew, yeah. That's actually pretty impressive. Guys, Matthew, you know what? Tweet that out.
Yeah.
Tweet that out, because that's definitely a worthy retweet.
I'll retweet the tweet that it was posted by.
Okay.
I don't want to echo stuff.
So Jack Coleman said, ice cold, came from France, no smile, black gloves, Velcro touch, dripping in sauce. Who am I talking about? There's only one man. It's Phil Jones. Listen, Tony was phenomenal. And honestly, I have a hard time saying anything bad about anybody today. I wonder why he was so happy about Liverpool winning. George Kyle did say Arthur is the only perfect one. That is true. That's the reason why he's the number 7 on the wall here. Let's go ahead, Matthew. Let's move farther up the pitch. Let's get to that midfield. Nemanja Matic, workmanlike today. I think that's the best way to put it. Very workmanlike.
Yeah, it was just what we needed, really. Like, we didn't really need a spectacular game from him. He just stuck to his instructions and did pretty well. Dispossessed the opponents quite a lot, so 7 out of 10 again. I mean, it's a quick review, but there's not really much we can talk about Matic.
No, there really isn't. Like, it was very workmanlike. I'll give him a 7, just because of the fact that it was what we needed for today. He did what we needed, and that's something that I will give both him and Herrera a lot of credit for. The fact that they do exactly what the manager requires of them. It doesn't matter what the job is, what the role is. They go into the match and they do exactly what the manager asks of them. And I can't wait to talk about Herrera, because Herrera really does give Pogba all the freedom in the world to get forward. So I love the man. Love the man. So 7 out of 10 for me. Saban said Matic 7. Paul Gardner said Matic 7. George Kyle said Matic is 7. Was good in the tackle, but again, his lack of speed will be a concern against PSG, who have rapid players. So George, listen, for me, I'm not as worried about PSG's speed as I would have been if Neymar and Verratti had been healthy. Like, they can have all the speed in the world, but at the end of the day, I'd be more concerned with the fact that you're going to have Martial and Rashford and Lingard running at you. I'd be more concerned with that. Let's see here. Jay Hart said Matic gets a 7, solid as always. And I don't see any other ratings here for Matic, so we move on. Guys, again, if you want to have your match ratings read, I see we have 17 people watching live, so if you want to have your match ratings read out, if you're one of the 17 people watching live, feel free. Comment. We'll get your ratings read out. So we'll go ahead. We'll move on. We're going to talk about Ander Herrera first, because he was great, but he wasn't my man of the match. Matthew, Ander Herrera, I love that tiny little Spanish man. He's not really that tiny, in all fairness. He's not Juan Mata, but I love that Spanish man.
He's some boy. He is some boy, so he is, man. Like, but see, if he had scored that goal, it would have been a 10 out of 10 performance, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, no question about it. But since he didn't score that, and it was it should have been a bit more simple. But you can't really criticise him too much from that, when 89 and a half other minutes have just been spent absolutely bossing the game.
Yep.
So 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm giving him a 9 out of 10 as well. I love what Ander Herrera brings to this team. And the man, he does exactly what we need to make the team better. I love that. Yeah. I love it. I love the fact that he does exactly what we need to make us the Manchester United that we all know we can be. And in all honesty, I'm surprised that we didn't see 3 quick subs in quick succession. I just know the only reason why he didn't come off until the 83rd minute. I'm sorry, it was the 84th minute that he came off. Only reason why he didn't come off till the 84th minute is because it was just in case somebody got injured. It was literally just in case. But besides that, Herrera is just a beautiful, beautiful man, and we all need to be giving him the more credit than he deserves. He is probably one of the most underrated midfielders in the Premier League now, under Ollie. Like 100% one of the most underrated midfielders in the league. Let's go ahead. Let's see where it starts. So Saban said Mr. Passion 10 was my man of the match. I've got no problem if you say Ander Herrera was the man of the match today. Lucas said Herrera 9. Paul Gardner retracted his comment. Aw. Pancas said Herrera 9.5. George Kyle said Herrera an 8. Supreme part of the team, instrumental and integral for the team for running and energy. Jay Hart said I give Herrera an 8. He was the epitome of a box-to-box midfielder, which that is 100% true, Jay Hart. Moata said, ole, ole, 8. 8. Give him the 8 from Moata. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said Herrera 9. Aaron Ramaswamy. Oh, okay. I'm just going to call you Aaron because I know what you're trying to go with there, but Aaron said workhorse Herrera, 9 out of 10 for me. Hopefully we can tie him down on a long-term deal. 100%. Give him another 3 years. Give him another 3 years at a minimum, maybe 4. But I'd say 3 just because I think he turns 30 in 3 years. So once you hit 30, I start kind of being like, all right, 1-year deal after that. Paul Gardner said Herrera 9. Ultimate box-to-box performance today. Linked up well with the defense and attack, which is 100% true. How many likes are we on? I need my Andrew Pogba dance. We are on 8, George. We are on 8. So you know what it takes to get your dab. So we're looks like we're not going to get the dab, and that's totally okay.
Hang on a second, I've not even liked the video yet. I'm shocking. I do apologise.
Matthew is out of form today, guys. Matthew is truly out of form, and that's okay.
It's not my best day in the Red Beauty Bear channel whatsoever.
It happens to the best of us. But we go ahead.
Even Ronaldo has a bad game.
Yeah, even Ronaldo does have a bad game. The GOAT will once in a while have a bad game. Matthew, Paul Pogba, we talked about him earlier. That man is just another level of player. Just he really is. What do you give him today?
You know what? I'm probably going to give him a 9 out of 10 as well. Like, not just for the fact that he scored 2 goals. His first goal was just like, what the hell happened there? I don't think any of us were really expecting that to go in with his left foot as well. He just absolutely rifled it into the back of the net. I thought he was going to like cut it back or something and try and do a skill and maybe set up a goal. But for him to absolutely hammer the shot like that with his weak foot at the near post, I mean, don't get me started on that keeper. He's one of the worst keepers I've seen. But still, it's done finish. And the penalty as well, to be fair, to the keeper, Rico almost saved it, but it was just too far into the corner that he couldn't get to.
He put too much power on it.
Yeah, like he just has so much presence down both sides, actually. Like he wasn't really playing to the centre that often, which is a weird thing. He was playing on the left and playing on the right.
Yeah.
And I thought in the second half, linking up with Diogo Dalot, he was absolutely fantastic. So really 9 out of 10 performance.
And so, Matthew, I have to ask you, do you still have the Paul Pogba virus?
You know what? It has started to leave me.
It started to leave. I think it's back though. I think
you're meaning the Paul Pogba is a virus thing because in the summer I was like Celis.
Listen, no, Matthew, I think I hear that Paul Pogba virus back in you again.
Oh, feel well back in me.
Yep, it's in. It's in.
Like, in the summer I was very much just settling. But you know what? I'm happy to eat a big slice of humble pie if it means he does well.
If you need to dance the Pogba dance, if you have the virus, listen. That's the reason why we started hitting the dabs, George. That's the reason why we started hitting the dabs at 15 likes, because when you got the Paul Pogba virus, you got to hit a dab. It's just the truth. Paul Pogba dabs when he scores goals. You know, like literally as he's scoring, he'll hit the dab.
Do you remember against Juventus when he tapped the ball in the back of the net?
Yes. Oh yeah, he hit the player so hard that the dab hit him into the back of the net. It was amazing. Listen, Nestor, I get it. It's all jokes, anyways. We have to if we don't have fun, there's no point in even doing this. That's the reason why I started the channel. I wanted to start it up, have fun talking about sports, and that's the reason why we do this. So let's go ahead. Let's get. Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't even talk about Paul Pogba yet because I've got the real Paul Pogba virus. That man is 100% the best midfielder in the world. Change my mind. There is nobody that does what Paul Pogba does. Matthew and I were talking before the show started at the fact that Paul Pogba is, if he had been starting this entire season, not left out, that there is no chance that if a different manager had been in place, that I bet you Paul Pogba would probably be on 15 goals and 10 assists right now. The man does everything for the team. And yet, the last guy wanted to get rid of him and Martial. The two best players in this team, include Rashford into that. And Rashford looks a completely different player under Ollie. It's 100% true to think that our three best players at the moment, at least I'll say this, outfield players, our three best outfield players at the moment, all wanted to be all were probably likely to be sold or gone under the last guy. But now they are playing on different levels, and especially Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is the man to build this team around. Let Agent P get on his thing, and let's build the team around everything that is Paul Pogba, because I guarantee you that team that is built around Paul Pogba will win the league. Guarantee it. So I give Paul Pogba a 10 out of 10 today. Absolutely superb, perfect performance from the man. And he was taken off after 70 minutes, basically. He did no wrong. No wrong today. So let's go ahead, get into your guys' ratings. Saban said Pogboom 9. Panko said Pogba 10. He is an absolute beast. George Kyle said Pogba 10, best midfielder in the world, strolling around like Zinedine Zidane, which that is absolutely true. Jay Hart said Pogba is solid 9, not only controlled the midfield, but also took care of the Fulham defense, which he did boss all of them. Pogba 9, I hope he wins the Champions League one day. Yes, and with us too, Ollie. With you in charge, Ollie, I willing to bet that he will have a chance to win the Champions League with you. Lucas said 9 for Pogba for shooting instead of passing to Lukaku. Yes, 100% Luka, because we all know what would have happened there. Paul Gardner said Pogba 10, untouchable again. Another show of his strength in the midfield. Fantastically taking goal and penalty to round it off. Yes, 100%. So Aaron said a rejuvenated Pogba under Ollie, a solid 9 for me. Boss the midfield like a true king, which is absolutely true. There's no denying the fact that Ollie has everybody in this team playing on different levels. He just does. Let's see here. Nobody dared talk about his on-field showboating now. Listen, and I'll say this now because I know he'll never see it. Guess what? Sourness, stop being such a sourpuss. Like, you are the most bitter human being I've ever seen in my life. The fact that you see Paul Pogba, and for some reason, your mind just can't help but explode at the thought that Paul Pogba is the best midfielder in the world. You dirty, bitter Scouser. Get out of here and start realizing the greatness that is Paul Pogba. Matthew, let's move on to the attack. Juan Mata. I mean, Mata wasn't great, but once again was kind of being played out. Like, I hate him playing on that right-hand side. I know I'm not the only one. So, I mean, what do you give him today?
I thought it was a bit of an indifferent game, really. But I think he was better than what he's been on the right wing. That's for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, I think some people are only saying he's good because he's better than what we expected of him playing in there. Like in his overall game, I thought he was a bit average. But like I said, better than what he has been recently. So I think in terms of the whole team, a 6 out of 10 would probably do.
Okay. I mean, 6 out of 10 is fair. I actually was going to give him a 6 out of 10 as well. So, I mean, listen, Juan Mata shouldn't be playing on the right wing. And when MUTV, when they released their lineup, they kind of made it look like we were playing a 4-3-1-2 and that Mata was going to be kind of playing at the 10. So, I don't know. It's just me. Like, it's just me. But I thought that if he had played at the 10 or I guess false 9 today, I thought that he would have been a hell of a lot more effective. But him playing on the right, he just doesn't have the pace to be a right winger anymore. So it's unfortunate, but true. But I still do love Juan Mata, the human being. Like Juan Mata is probably the most likable guy in all of football. I mean, I don't think that anybody would probably disagree with that either. So, I mean, he was the one, Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, he's the one that started up donating 1% of your overall salary to charity, right?
Yeah, that was caused by him.
So, that's good to know.
He's going to go to China. That means he's donating more.
You know what? I almost root for him to go to China, get $500,000 a week, you know?
Yeah.
I almost root for that. Like I don't like I said, I love Juan Mata, the human being, but if he gets paid a hell of a lot of money to go to China, let it be. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into your guys' ratings. Saban said Mata 6 for me. Ollie said Mata 8. George Kyle said Mata's still too slow. Must get rid of him in the summer. Still a superb technician, but a 7 would be fair given how much he stagnated our play. Paul Gardner said Mata's 6. Looked to struggle at times, but didn't do anything particularly wrong, which is exactly why I think a 6, which is an average rating for us, is very much so a fair rating. Jay Hart said a 6 for Mata. He just can't catch up to the Prem level anymore. His passes are perfect, but he loses the ball quicker than he passes it, which that is kind of true, Jay Hart. There is times where you can see, I mean, which happens with every player. It really does when they start getting older, that you'll see the person that they were come out at times, but it's like once every 5th game that you'll see that player come out. So let's just hope that maybe we can get a good performance from him, like a really good performance from him out of his next performance. George Kyle said Conte is the most likable guy. Listen, either or. I really like Conte, the human being, as well. So Aaron said, to be fair, Mata is being played out of position. He is an attacking midfielder and not a natural winger. No wonder he is putting in subdued performances. I would rate him a 6 for today's performance, which I agree with. I do agree with that. So let's see here. So George Kyle did say Vardy talks about how kind Conte in his autobiography, which I have heard about that, George. I have heard about that. So before I don't want to talk about the other guy yet, Matthew, because I want to leave a rant for the last one. So Tony Martial, that beautiful smiling Frenchman today. What can you say about that goal? Just absolutely superb. And we got the old Martial back, the guy that came on in his first match against Liverpool and skinned a defense, which is exactly what he did on that goal. What do you give Martial for today?
You know what? That goal was so similar to Giggs against Arsenal in '99. Like that famous goal where he takes off his top after it. But, it was something else. And he even started from his own half, which is just mad. So, I mean, I didn't really see him doing anything wrong. I think that during the game I saw a stat that said he's got a 30% shot conversion rate, and he's scored something like, was it 8 goals so far this season in 24 games, which means he's only taken like 1.2 shots a game, which really isn't anything.
No, it's not.
So the fact that he's got so many goals, I think that's 9 goals so far then, from such a huge conversion rate, just shows how clinical he is. And he's an absolute carbon copy of the last guy. So, I mean, in general, I'd probably say 9 out of 10. And 3 nines today.
And I'm going to give him a 9 today too, Matthew. I mean, I think that for me, Martial, when he is on that level, which it looks like he is getting back to that level on a very regular basis now, but when he is playing on that level, Tony Martial could possibly be like Ronaldo. I'm not saying he'll ever be on the level of Ronaldo, because Ronaldo is just a different type of player in the Premier League. But if we ever got even a Martial that was 80% of what Ronaldo was, we instantly have one of the best players in the world in Martial. That man he did no wrong today. And that's the reason why, so the people that were up for man of the match today, according to the Manchester United app, were Phil Jones, Martial, and Pogba. Now, obviously, I voted for Pogba, but I would have understood if people wanted to vote for Martial as well. That man, it just – people are going to be terrified of him again. Because when he dribbles at you, you don't know what he's going to do. That's what I love about the guy. He just is not afraid to run at people. And I can't wait to see more of it. So let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys had to say. So George Kyle said Martial's goal so reminiscent of Ronaldo's goal in 2007. Saban said Martial 9. Lucas said Luis Suarez is the most likable footballer. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but laugh at that one. Paul Gardner said Martial 9. Constant threat to Fulham's defense, full of confidence and ability. Great vision for his assist to Pogba, and his run from our own half and finish was the stuff dreams are made of, which is 100% true, Paul. 100% true. George Kyle said Martial a 9. Great pass and supreme individual goal. Let's see here. George Kyle said Martial 9. I'm sorry. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said Martial was superb today, 10. Jay Hart said, I give Martial a 9 and man of the match. What a difference he made in comparison to Sanchez. He ran forward, tracked back, stayed on the left side, everything a left winger should be doing, which is 100% true, Jay Hart. Let's see here. Aaron said Martial arts was in full display today. The ball control was sublime for the goal. He beat 2 defenders all the way from the halfway line, a true hallmark of a great forward. 9 for me. Jay Hart said, give Martial the 7 shirt. He deserves it, which I did argue that we should possibly give Martial the 7 shirt. But I also don't think there's a problem with giving him the famous Ryan Giggs 11 shirt too. I mean, there's no problem with either number. And if we were to bring in a right winger in this summer, let's say, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but let's just say that we brought in Jadon Sancho, or by some miracle, we managed to get Kylian Mbappe. I'm not saying it's going to happen by any means, and I don't even believe it'll happen. But let's just say for some reason we were able to swap Lukaku, Sanchez plus 120 million, and we were able to get Kylian Mbappe for some reason. I'd 100% just do it. Just do it, because he'd be worth every penny. And he'd be worth the 7 shirt as well. I mean, man, and Saban, I actually have no problem with Herrera being man of the match too. Pancake said Martial 9. Sophie said Martial 9. And Sophie, it's very good to see you. Let's see here. I do not see anybody else. I wonder where I got that from, Mr. Exclusive. I do wonder where I got that from. Obviously, I got it from Mr. Exclusive. Mr. Exclusive comes out with great ideas all the time. So, love the man. But, I mean, Matthew, real talk. I mean, do you think there's a chance? I mean, not that we needed to be talking about transfers in this show, but do you think there's a chance we could bring in a class right winger in the summer?
I think it depends on who you define as class. I think there might be a chance that we could get someone like Malcolm from Barcelona because he has done nothing since joining.
Mm.
However, like I'm not a Lille season ticket holder by any means, but there's a guy who's been mentioned quite a lot called Nicola Pepe. And just looking at stats alone, he's just done absolute bits. I think in something like 24 games so far, he's got 18 goals and 6 assists.
That is pretty good.
For a team that's not PSG. So he's up against teams that are very much closer to his standards. And for him to pull up those kind of stats is just unbelievable. And I think after hearing about Pepe, I think I saw one of the Lille games. I've forgotten against who it was against, but he was just the best player in the pitch by an absolute mile.
So,
and I think that
Saban does bring.
Last season, yeah.
I was going to say Saban does bring in somebody else that could be a good one. Irving Lozano.
See, I'd say in terms of realistic targets, Chucky Lozano's the top, personally, and then I go for like Pepe, and then anyone else really. But don't get me wrong, Lingard's a good player, and he's good in the big games, but he's not really a winger as such in terms of going down the byline and putting in crosses. So,
yeah, it's a tough one because like I love Lingard, but
yeah,
I just don't know. Which, by the way, Sophie, thank you again very much for joining us this morning. And you guys, Sophie is an absolutely phenomenal human being, but she also runs an absolutely phenomenal channel. Go subscribe to her if you aren't already. Sophie just genuinely is just an amazing person overall. So just do it. Just do it. By the way, Will Zaha just scored an absolute stunner of a goal. That's why my eyes went really wide for a second because it was just absolutely another level. Let's see here. George Kyle said he'd rather have Dybala, which, I mean, if we were going to be kind of playing in a different formation, I mean, if we weren't playing with a necessarily like true right winger, I'd kind of be okay with that, especially with how our fullbacks are getting forward. I could see kind of going to more of a like a 4-4-2 diamond formation. I mean, but then we really would be relying on our fullbacks for width. And I don't know if I necessarily want to solely rely on that. Like, I don't know. That's just me, though. But, I mean, if we were playing with a 4-4-2, kind of having a 10, I mean, I'd be all for going and trying to get Paulo Dybala because I think that him at a 10 would be amazing. So, I mean...
do we really actually play a number 10?
At the moment, no. But, I mean... I guess you could make the argument that Jay Lings does play the 10 position when he plays because he kind of plays like a false 9-10 kind of place, and then the other between Rashford and Martial, they play on either side. But Lingard kind of, I guess you could make the argument, has more of a free role.
Yeah, kind of seems fair.
So real quick, I mean, I'll answer. Let's answer this question. I mean, I know we have before, but I mean, would you take Memphis Depay back?
No.
And
just pick no.
I agree with you. Like this is just for me. I look at Memphis Depay, and I think that the risk of bringing him back outweighs the reward of bringing him back, because I think that there's a greater risk of him bombing coming back to the Premier League than there is of him coming back and actually being successful. So that's just a personal opinion. But I still think that Memphis is doing great things for his team over there. Like he's done amazing things for Leon. But I think that Leon is exactly where he is suited to be. Like, I know that he kind of came out with the comments of, oh, I'd love to go play for a bigger club like City, or I think he threw Barcelona and Real Madrid in there.
I think it was City and Chelsea.
And Chelsea was the other one. Like, and Mr. Exclusive does bring up a good point. Less risk with Ollie. I don't necessarily disagree. We had less attacking managers. He would have had some better time now. I mean, that's a good point, Mr. Exclusive. But just, I think for us, you look at the risk of bringing back a guy like Memphis Depay, and it's just there's too much risk in it. Like for me, I would prefer to. I mean, and Selfie does bring up a good point. He is bossing it internationally as well. I mean, I would be like, let me put it this way: if we brought him back, that would be because Ollie wanted to bring him back, and if we did that, then I'm okay with it. That'd be the only reason why I'd be okay with it. I'm not saying that I would like it by any means, but I'd be okay with it, and I'd be interested in seeing how he's going to play in the team. Like basically, if I'll say this, if I had to choose between bringing him back and Zaha back, I'd personally bring Zaha back first. That's just me personally. But by no means am I saying that Memphis hasn't been class for his team or for his international side either. Like the guy is the guy just is the definition of somebody that I think he suits being a big fish in a small pond. That's only personal opinion. Hearing Douglas, Sophie said hearing Douglas Costa is a maybe as well. And Sophie, that's the one thing I do worry about is his attitude, because he does kind of have a bigger than life kind of attitude. But she brings up a good point. His raps are better than Lukaku's, which is 100% true. And at least Depay can freestyle. I mean, fair, Matthew?
To be fair, I think probably both of us could rap better than Lukaku.
That's probably true. But Matthew, I'm sorry for getting a little bit off topic there, but let's just do it because I can't wait to go in on him again. Romelu Lukaku, how do you rate him today?
Can we just not rate him? Like, not give him a rating?
Let me put it this way. His rapping is better than his play.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
And that's not saying much.
It was probably his worst game in the Man United shirt. Like, in the last game when I had a full-blown rant about Alexis Sanchez, all you can do is just get a transcript of that and change the word Sanchez to Lukaku. And there you've got it. He just didn't look bothered, didn't make any runs, looked dead after 20 minutes, didn't have a shot on target. For a so-called flag-track bully, he was atrocious today.
Yep.
And that is a perfect game for a flag-track bully, a team who are near the bottom of the league. They've got no confidence, and they've got no defensive shape whatsoever, and they're conceding chance after chance. And Lukaku did nothing. It was literally like playing 10 men. It was just an absolute shocker from him. Like, don't get me wrong, he didn't miss any sitters or whatever, but that was only because he didn't get into any good positions. The only thing that I actually saw that was noteworthy from him was a half-decent cross in the second half that Pogba, I think it was Smalling, nearly got to. That aside, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Matthew, Romelu Lukaku is a bigger wage thief than Ashley Young. Romelu Lukaku is... George could possibly agree with me after this rant. Romelu Lukaku is the worst player that we currently have at Manchester United, and that is so sad to say considering the fact that what his season was last year. He was actually decent last year. This year, he is just a different player. The man is absolutely horrible. He can't do anything to help this team. Romelu Lukaku, you need to leave Manchester United. You're the next player that we need to look at and be like, you are not good enough. Because I am sick of the fact that you do, after 10 to 20 minutes, look like you have just gone a full 15-round fight. You look dead. You are...
It's like me after a session of five-a-side football.
You are the biggest wage thief on this team. I would prefer to start Ashley Young as a striker over starting you as a striker, because I at least know that Ashley Young can control the ball. You serve no purpose anymore at Manchester United. And I think that you know that too. And I think that's the reason why your performances are all of a sudden dropping further and further. I am done with having you do just stupid crap. The only purpose you serve anymore when you come on the pitch is to be a cheerleader, because that's all I see you do, is be a cheerleader for other players that are doing great things. That's all you do is cheer. So Romelu Lukaku, please leave Manchester United. You are not good enough. And I will admit, I was excited to have you when you came here. Not anymore. Leave Manchester United. What's that?
I must have been one of only three people I actually had him as a first choice signing. Like, I know a lot of people are saying Morata, but I'm looking back at what Morata did for Chelsea. It was so predictable. Like, he's never a prolific striker.
No.
With Lukaku, I thought, right, we're getting someone who is Premier League proven. He's still 23 years old at the time, or still 24, or something like that.
It was 24, but
and he's going to do bits. He's going to do absolute bits. And he's just not done that. Like, yeah, he's got 27 goals in all competitions, but he's the most one-dimensional striker I know. Like, he's not really going to contribute to anything. For a big target man, for someone with the sort of physicality of a target man, he can't hold up the ball. He falls to the ground so easily. He can't shoot. He can't really run with the ball. He can't pass. He's just completely void of all confidence and ability right now.
Sophie said B-Tech Akinfenwa. That's a good one. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go up here and let's get to your ratings, because I'm giving Romelu Lukaku a 0 today. I don't give players zeros. I don't. Matthew can testify to that. I don't give players zeros. Lukaku gets a 0. He does nothing, and he deserves nothing, especially not from me. Panka said, Andrew, please rap. I guarantee I'd be better than Lukaku. Let's see here. Paul Gardner says, Lukaku 4 looks lost in the new system under Ollie. Poor in possession. What's worse is he seems to have lost all awareness and sharpness, standing around, not putting defense under pressure, which is 100% true. Sophie says a minus with all the S's. Yeah, I if I was a more cruel human being and I gave negative scores, I would. But I'm not giving away a negative today. I'm just giving him a 0 because that's exactly what he is, a 0. George Kyle said Lukaku a 3, crap as hell. Nothing sticks donkey. Saban said Lukaku 4. Mr. Exclusive used a expletive, Aku. I'm trying to cut back on my cussing, guys. I'm doing my best. You guys, guys, you know we don't do dabs unless we get to 15 likes. It's just the truth, buddy. Pancake said Lukaku 1. So here, Sophie said, fact is, he may as well not have been on the pitch today. We won with 10 men, which is 100% true. 100% true. Well, Peter, luckily, fuck off. Get out of my channel. I knew you were a troll from the start, so goodbye. I fucking blocked you. Later, bitch. Fuck off. Sorry, Matthew. I don't get angry very often, but I think that was worthy. Let's see here. Andrew, please tell Ed Woodward to sign me as a backup striker to replace Lukaku. Pancash, if I could, I would, buddy. I need to get some contacts, apparently. Sophie said the thing is you cannot go so bad overnight. It is a confidence issue, but the worry for me is his lack of effort. At least show your willingness and effort. Which, Sophie, we talked about that. You're 100% right. We talked about that in the pre-match, that at least with Sanchez, you can see he's trying. It's just not sticking. That's the one thing I think we can say is I would keep Alexis Sanchez all day over keeping Romelu Lukaku. And that's because I at least know that Alexis Sanchez is trying. So that's just me personally. Paul Gardner said, hey, you're going to hurt his feelings. I don't care about feelings over here, Paul. You know that. Actually, though, all jokes aside, there is only one biggest wage thief, and it's absolutely Alexis Sanchez. Most wages, and he, unlike Lukaku, has scarcely scored or assisted at all, which that is true, George. And I think that Alexis Sanchez needs to be moved on as well. But I at least think that Alexis Sanchez is trying. It's just not working for him. I think that he's just past his prime at this point. Aaron said Lukaku, waste of precious money, waste of precious space, and has a terrible attitude. He has literally sucked and is gutted about losing his place to Rashford. 4 from me today. Let's see here. I do not see any other ratings. Sophie, I know, I know, right? We failed on the cussing thing real quick, but I think that everybody will be fine with making an exception for that one while live. And luckily,
he says that you need more editing. Yeah, I quite checking his YouTube channel shows that he's got a default banner image.
Like, listen, Peter, I knew you were a troll from the first time you came on the channel, which was literally this morning. I don't care about losers' opinions, just like I don't care about Lukaku's opinion. So your opinion means about as much as his. So goodbye from my channel. Later. But guys, let's go ahead. Let's move on. So Sophie, great question. So Sophie asked what I gave Delo. I know you came in a little bit late. I gave Delo a 7, which in comparison to what has been given from Ashley Young recently, that might as well have been a 10. Because Ashley Young has been absolutely horrible for us at that right back spot. But for me, Delo was very solid today. And we both kind of talked about it during the preview. He got further up the pitch. We really noticed him getting further up the pitch, and he needs time to work on his passing. So let's hope we see more of him. So, I mean, Sophie, what did you give Delo for today? I'd be really interested in hearing that, especially coming from a footballer's standpoint. You mean Luke Rapku? Yes. Literally first time he got the ball, he ran down the wing and won a free kick. Yeah, Sophie, I noticed that too. And I was like, wow. Like, so this is what it's like to have a guy at right back. This is now 100 now. Oh, so Matthew, you're talking about the tickets. So, Sophie, apparently you need to get back to looking for tickets. Because I think you might be able to get to that PSG match if what Matthew is saying is true. But Matthew, Sophie said, I'd agree. Decision making at times was poor, but at times it was also positive. Poor at time, but always positive. So I'd say 7. So Matthew, sub ratings. I really don't think anybody gets above a 6. I mean, do you?
No, I don't think a 7's really warranted for anyone. But I tell you what, Scott McTominay did quite decent.
Yeah.
There was a chance. He was actually getting forward, and it's like, oh my God, is this actually what Scott McTominay is about now?
Well,
I mean, we've waited about 18 months to see it, but to be fair to him, like, he actually did not bad. He had some kind of presence that we've just not seen at all from him.
Let's also say this, Matthew. I mean, McTominay was a striker back when he first came to Manchester United.
Yeah,
so he
was a 5'6" striker, and in the space of 2 years or whatever, he turned into a 6'4" bang average central midfielder.
The poor guy, right? Because I bet you if he had stayed 5'6", he would have probably stayed world class. Scott McTominay.
That's a good one.
I do like that. But I mean, realistically, I mean, Scott McTominay is the only one that you can maybe make an argument for being better than a 6 out of 10, which is surprising because I actually really don't rate Scott McTominay very highly. But for me, I'm looking at Scott because obviously Sir Alex talks about him a lot. And funny enough, I kind of almost view Scott McTominay as what Sir Alex viewed John O'Shea. Because John O'Shea wasn't necessarily the greatest or most talented of players we've ever had. But I think that he just does exactly what he needs to do for a manager, which is, I think, what maybe Sir Alex saw in him. I mean, Matthew, what do you think about that?
I'll be honest, I still think it's just one game and that he is bottom end championship level. But no, it's good to see him actually doing something and maybe he can have an effect. kind of like what John O'Shea was, in that we know he's not the best player in the world, but he'll just fill in one or two different positions. But I still think he's just terribly average. And the thing is, Martial's older than him. That just puts things into perspective. I know Martial's had more experience at a top level for a few more years now, but still, I just don't really see anything with Scott McTominay, to be honest.
No, and listen, I agree with you, Matthew. I do think that ultimately we do see the fact that Scott McTominay likely will not be good enough for Manchester United, but that's why I'm saying send him off on loan. Maybe a Premier League club will pick him up. I mean, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility that a lower side Premier League club would pick him up. Let him get the chance to play week in, week out. Basically kind of give him the Timbo treatment. Because Timbo's been...
To be brutally honest, I don't know what Premier League team would take him as a first choice midfielder.
That's a good question.
Because the bottom end Premier League teams are going to be looking for proven talent that have actually had experience. Scott McTominay's really not had that as such. And then anything above that is too high a level for him.
So, that's a good point.
Maybe like Aston Villa or something. Maybe get in there, he'll get somewhat regular time. But yeah, just wasn't great. He's just not Premier League standard whatsoever, in my opinion.
I mean, that's Sophie said Fulham could do with him instead of Chambers in there. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree.
Having to play a defender in midfield, but I don't know what the issue is with Fulham at the moment. They've got, I think, 3 other midfielders that they just bench for some unknown reason when it's clearly not working out.
It's interesting because I think Claudio Ranieri kind of picks out favorites, and then once he has his favorites, he just runs with them. So I don't know.
He did that at Leicester, but he's known for really sort of changing his team like every single week. But yeah, when he was Leicester manager and everything was working, he had that proven plan. But at Fulham, I still think he might stay up, because I think Fulham is definitely better than Huddersfield. But I'm not sure about being the level of what maybe like Southampton are at the moment. But I still think he's definitely got a chance of staying up. But he needs to actually play players in the right positions.
Yeah.
Instead of just fucking anyone anywhere. Like he's playing Vieto, who was a striker at Atletico Madrid and Villarreal. Out as a winger in a 4-4-2. Of course he's not going to have much effect.
So, I mean, Aaron, that's kind of what we were both thinking, is Scott McTominay could get loaned out to a championship team and just kind of play day in and day out. Just see how he does. Just see how he does.
There's rumours about him going to Celtic in January. And I'll tell you what, he wouldn't get in that team whatsoever.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, and that's, I mean, Sophie, that is why Claudio Ranieri was called the Tinker Man. You're very right on that. But, I mean, we'll go ahead. We'll wrap it up. So, Matthew, final thoughts on the match today.
It was just a good day. Just a good day all round. Clean sheet, 3 goals. Martial doing bits again. Pogba getting to Herrera dominating things. You just can't ask for much more. Bring on PSG.
You know what? Yep, bring on PSG. But which, by the way, Jay Hart, I would happily take Scott McTominay here for Phoenix Rising. I'd love it. I'll take him.
Imagine that. Scott McTominay playing for the Rising. That'd be unreal.
I bet you Phoenix Rising would love it too. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying by any means that Scott McTominay doesn't have talent. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he doesn't have what I believe is Manchester United level talent. That's all. And I think that not a lot of people would disagree with that either. So final thoughts for me. Manchester United are playing on a different level under Ollie, and we really are starting to see the talent that we have. And I will say this, because you guys did just hear my rant about Romelu Lukaku. How far off are we from seeing players like Mason Greenwood get chances because of how poor people like Romelu Lukaku are? How close are we to seeing Heath Chong get chances because of how poor people like Alexis Sanchez are? Same goes for Angel Gomez. I do not believe for 1 second that we are far off from seeing these types of players make their debuts, because Ollie refused to let these kinds of players go out on loan. And I think that basically he's starting to make real judgments about who needs to be dropped and who needs to be played. I personally look at this team, and I think that we put in a phenomenal performance today with only being at 10 men. And yes, I am talking about you, Lukaku. So for me, I just look at those players, and I think of the fact that if we actually get the chance to get some kids out there and playing, I actually think that we're going to continue to see our squad go up and up and up and up. I don't think that we're really far off. And I messaged Doug and I said, this team under Ollie, this team right now under Ollie, I believe next year could win the Premier League. And that's without bringing in anybody, which is crazy to think about. Now, granted, we would only have to focus on the Premier League. We couldn't focus on the FA Cup, couldn't focus on anything else, only the Premier League. But I 100% believe we could win the Premier League next year with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in charge. That says everything we need to know about what that man right there is doing for this team. I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I really hope he gets the full-time permanent job. But all being said and done, Ollie, you get a 10 today. And honestly, you're on a 10 for the season right now because you are 11 games in and you have not lost. I love that. I love it. I'm honestly hoping that we continue to go on this streak of not losing a game for quite a while because it would be amazing to have you beat Mourinho's record of an unbeaten run. And I don't think anybody would be unhappy with it, except for all the closet Jose-inners who managed to come out after Phil Jones got a new contract. It was kind of funny. But, I mean, Matthew, thank you for joining me, bro. I know that you were kind of tired. You're on that Arizona sleep schedule. So, I mean, anything that you maybe want to talk about?
I don't know, really. I'm not sure if you wanted to start talking about anything, but yeah, I was meant to be in that preview, but that didn't happen. Just couldn't sleep, really. Couldn't sleep. It was about 4:30 in the morning, then